Welcome. Charlie here with my good friend Kathi, and I'm excited today because Kathi is a self-projected projector, and she's very successful in her own right. She works a lot with human design and astrology and has a YouTube and a podcast and lots of different channels going out to the world, and we've come together and we want to share a bit about deconditioning. But first, I want to introduce you to Kathi, and maybe you want to share a little bit about yourself.
First of all, thank you for the invitation. Very important for projectors, right?
Yes.
I'm excited to talk about being a projector today, especially because, it was not always easy for me to build my business the way it is now. And a lot of people that find me now feel like, oh my gosh, it was so easy for her. And I think it's important to talk about, the beginning of building an audience online and just, being creative as a projector, really following your design and being successful, which is our signature, right? And so, I'm excited to talk about all of that. I focus on astrology and human design in everything that I do, and it's really targeted towards helping people understand why they're here, what their purpose is in life, what their mission is, and ultimately astrology and human design are amazing tools to, have just a map or a roadmap or a blueprint to analyze yourself, to understand yourself, and to remember why you're here.
Totally, I agree, very much so. And I do want to say before we get into the meat of this video about deconditioning, when we first met, I was like, wow, this woman is really walking a beautiful path to your truth and following your unique inner guidance. And you've mentioned a few things to me about your past and the certain astrological transits and the challenges, but through challenge and tension comes huge amount of growth, and I really feel like you're going to do some pretty amazing things in the world. So what does deconditioning for a projector, and as a projector yourself, what does that mean to you? What is that?
For me, first of all, it was the realization that I am a projector and what that means. And at that time, I was already trying to build an audience and a successful business online because I always wanted to travel and have the freedom and impact the world. And it really didn't work for me in the way that, you learn about traditional online marketing. And I was frustrated and bitter about it. And then I found out I'm a projector. And it was kind of like the answer that I was looking for, but at the same time, it felt so frustrating, and I felt kind of hopeless because I didn't know, okay, what am I gonna do now? I didn't believe that it could be, quote unquote, so easy to just attract clients, and to just follow my design and everything would fall into place, and I don't have to, go outside and promote myself in the traditional way. So it was kind of like a rock bottom moment in a way, because I didn't know how to move forward. So it was kind of like, a magic dark experience where I had the answer, but I didn't know what to do. And I feel like a lot of projectors feel this way when they find out. They are kind of like relieved because they have the answer for why did it not work for me so far. But then at the same time, they don't trust.
Yes.
Right. And so that's why also I still focus on human design a lot, because especially projectors, they have, I feel like we are the leaders of the future in a way because we guide in a different way, right? We empower people, but in a different way, like not in a pushy way. And so we are really needed, especially right now and moving forward into the next couple of years. So it's really important for us to understand how we can guide everyone else in the world. Yeah.
It sounds like for you were living a life of maybe some challenge or some struggle, and then you realize I'm here to live a different life. But then it hit you really hard, and then for you to actually, it's like you rebirthed yourself.
Yes.
In a way.
Yeah.
Where you had to do things totally differently and potentially think differently, feel differently, shift your vibration, all these things, which is all part of deconditioning. It's really unlearning so many years of what is built up, all these layers of muck and stuff and tension and bitterness and not being seen, not being recognized, struggle, force, all these things. And then it's like, okay, that makes sense, but now what?
Mm-hmm.
And then we have to start to really pull back the layers. And what would you say, like, I don't know, just maybe one thing that really allowed you to start to decondition, or allowed you to start to drop more into your truth and move away from that old self that was not working?
I think the key for me was also to find people that are projectors and are successful. So I know, okay, well, there is proof. And if it works for someone else, there's a chance that it works for me if I just give it a try. And then also seeing, well, it didn't work so far, so I don't have anything to lose. Like, I can just try. And even Ra says it's an experiment, so just try it out. You can always go back.
Yes.
Yeah.
Totally. I feel also for me, one big thing is like our projector aura, it's always going out.
Mm-hmm.
It's always tuning in to the environment and wanting to be recognized, wanting to be seen,
Yes.
wanting to sample what's happening out here. And for me, a big part of my deconditioning process was, because this is just subtle subconscious awareness moving out into the environment. And for me, it was really like, firstly, pulling that back into myself, back home. So I knew what was actually happening in here. When was I getting bitter? And more so catching it in the moment, rather than going weeks or months and building up tension and tightness and frustrations and bitterness, and then just blaming.
Yeah.
Blaming life. I know a lot of projectors who blame.
Yeah, I know. Me too.
Blame God.
Yeah.
It's like, God ruined me.
Yeah. And that it doesn't just relate to being like human design astrology. I get that a lot too, where it's like, wow, I have all of the bad placements, and I'm like, well, you designed that like that. It's actually your responsibility. It's actually you were excited about this exact design, this exact birth chart when you decided to come to Earth. And some people don't like to hear that, but that's the truth. From a soul's perspective, it's exciting to have all of the challenges, right? It's exciting to have to decondition for X amount of years.
Yes.
Because you learn so much.
Yeah. And when that perception or perspective shifts, and it's like, okay, this is actually what I coded into myself, or this was chosen by God for me, or however we view it, we start to accept, and we start to go, okay, well, I'm a projector. Let me just soften into that, and what gifts do I actually have?
Yeah.
And how can I start to slowly function more as myself, accept my sensitivity, accept that I do need more downtime, that I am here to play a lot more. And when I started to do that, it was fascinating. Like, things started to really click, specifically when I allowed myself to rest and to break this pattern. It was almost like this karmic pattern of stress that would start to build up in my body, and then I was taught, well, if I want to get rid of that stress, I have to work harder and faster to finish my to-do list, to become successful. And that was a huge force, and there was so many roadblocks along that way. And when I actually cut that almost like karmic pattern, and I could just go for a walk, when everything in me was saying, do not do that, like, you've got 10 things to do.
But it's just the mind that tells you.
It's like, no, like, go. And when I started to drop out of that, magical things started to happen. Even like listening to my dreams at times, because I'm a splenic projector, like that intuition, relaxing so much for intuitive hits to come through. And I think for projectors, deconditioning is a lot about trust.
Yes. Yeah, trust and surrender, I guess. But also, I feel like for every projector, even though at the beginning it feels kind of, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do, there's a big moment of relief. Because when they hear, oh, I'm not designed to work that much. They're like, that's why I never saw myself in a 9-to-5 job. That's why that never worked for me, and I'm so drained. So it's kind of like understanding yourself and having a lot of compassion for yourself, because a lot of people before that might feel like, oh my gosh, I should be able to do this too, because for everyone else it works. Why am I so drained, And so that was a big relief for me too. And then also seeing, well, I can actually spend the rest of my day doing the things I love. How exciting. How cool.
Yeah, it's a real gift. when we can drop into that. But it takes a lot of surrender, as you say, because there's that tight holding.
Yeah.
Like, no, this is the script I've been given. I have to keep doing it like this. And it's like, no, that's the wrong script. And it's like, can I let go and soften into the real manual of life that was given to me?
Yeah, and it's all about inner security, right? The more secure and safe you can be inside of yourself, because if we don't trust human design, and also don't trust that it can work in a different way, it might be that we just are not safe enough in the world. We don't feel safe. And so the root of everything in life, I feel like, is safety. It doesn't matter if it's, if you struggle with an addiction, or if you feel like you have to follow society's path. It's just because you don't trust that your unique way could work. And so I feel like the root of every single thing that we do should be safety, creating safety within ourselves. Yes.
Totally agree. Safety is a big one. Just quickly, I was actually having a conversation last night about sports players. NBA final was on, and it was all about, and we were talking like, who do you think's a projector out there? Who do you think's a generator?
Oh my God.
And it was like LeBron James, and I'm like, he's definitely a generator. And I was saying like probably 95% of elite athletes who can just go and go and go physically are generators.
Yeah.
And the projectors I know who are sports people get injured so much. And someone who I was with was like, oh, but what about your brother, Charlie? Because my brother's been doing a lot of physical exercise. And they're like, yeah, you keep going and going. And I'm like, no, he hurt his shoulder. He's getting a major operation in 3 days' time.
Yeah.
And it's just like that injury proneness when we just push and hustle. It just doesn't work. The body just breaks out.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's fascinating.
It's true. And a lot of projectors have, reflectors too, the body reacts at some point if you don't stop.
Yeah.
And so you can consciously say, okay, no, I'm following my design, also to protect my body, also to be successful. It's like that whole ripple effect. Or you can say no, and then it will manifest into a physical illness.
Yeah.
However that may look like, right? Yeah.
Totally. So hopefully there was some little tips, and I think both of us, our bodies at times have broken down as well over our lives, because we were working in the wrong way.
Yeah.
But now it's like, okay, like each and every month I would say there's more harmony, more vitality that comes into my system as I keep living my projector life.
Would you say, as a splendid projector, if you are, not following your design, or have not been following your design, did you have a lot of body symptoms? Like, did your body really speak to you? Like,
For sure.
Yeah. How did that look like?
Well, when I was younger, it looked like allergies hugely, and just huge fatigue. But now, as I've moved out of the allergies in a way. It's more so like my neck will speak to me at times. Like there'll be some like pulling or tension. It's like, oh, what's that? Or my back will speak to me, and there'll be like a gripping there. It's like, okay, I really have to listen and trust my body's intelligence through this point.
It's interesting. I was just thinking about that because I had a lot of other body things going on, but one theme that still is with me to this day is my throat, and I'm a self-projected projector. So I remember when I was a child, I always had like something going on with my throat.
Got it.
Like for years I was struggling. I had needed to take antibiotics, and whenever something happened, it was usually my throat. And even now, when I don't record a podcast, or I haven't shown up on my stories, or I haven't just talked in a while, I get a sore throat.
Wow.
Yeah.
That energy's wanting to come through.
Yeah.
And maybe when you were younger, it was maybe coming through a bit, but it wasn't so clean, or it wasn't your truth coming through.
Yeah, I was people pleasing, so definitely not my throat.
Okay. So the G center wants to come up cleanly to the throat, but it was like looping around and getting stuck, and then trying to come out, and it's like, nah, it's not working.
Yeah. But it's also interesting because for a lot of people, in all of my readings, I tell them, like, get yourself a voice, especially in 2020.
Yeah.
And so I feel like now I'm kind of like spokesperson for people to speak up. I'm like,
beautiful.
Create a podcast, get yourself out there, do it, like, just speak up.
Yeah. Totally.
Fun. Yeah.
Beautiful. Well, thank you.
Thank you
For sharing about the projected deconditioning journey that we're both currently on and have been for a long time. So, and we're going to make another video as well, which is going to go a little deeper into the astrology, into death and rebirth, into some plant medicine,
Saturn return, maybe.
Some Saturn, some Pluto. So it's got to get a little bit more, maybe a bit deep.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll put the link below this video. And yeah, thank you, Kathi,
Thank you
for being you. And blessings, everyone. Hopefully you enjoyed that video. If you liked it, give it a like, a thumbs up, subscribe, and watch part 2. Okay, bye-bye.